Chelsea now, actually, they look like they're ready for Madrid.
Chelsea, the way they play at high pace, Real Madrid can't live with it. I have to stand firm and stand shoulder to shoulder with the fans. And listen, I was at Man United. I was captain of Man United for many times. Had great times, moments, winning things, etc. And to think that I'd stand there and say, you know what, the fans are wrong here, I can't. Honestly, with my hand on my heart, I can't say if there's anybody wrong in this, it's the people that own the club.
And the focus was more about the protest than it was about what was happening on the pitch. And I think doing it and stopping a game, I think stopping the game is huge.
I never thought I would see this or say this, but I think the Glazers will sell now.
Yeah. You already know the vibes. Looking in with the guys. Stephen, Rio and Joe. I got tuned into 5. You know the vibes, you know the guys, you know the trio. You know it's Steve, you know it's Joe, you know it's Rio.
Yes, guys, this is Vibe with 5. I'm Rio, that's Joe, that's Steve. Listen, we're here in the house. Listen, we've got to tell you some great news as well, by the way. First of all, how's your bank holiday been? We've had a fantastic time. We've been chatting. The WhatsApp group's been popping off. Also, got something to break with you. IG, get on there. Our 5 channels live. It's direct football stuff coming out daily, all the time. Make sure you're on there. You can't miss what's coming out. We've got loads of new stuff, loads of little football stuff, obviously, but also some funny bits and pieces. Joel, you know what's going on that station, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, we just want to give a quick shout out to the comments. Obviously, you know what I mean? This was prior to the social media blackout that we were posting. We had people like Adam McCullough in there arguing with our tier system because of the way we ranked the players. We had the likes of Liv Legend there complaining that David Beckham was not in there. AFO Black saying that they should swap Shearer with other players, Ashley Cole, Frank Hastings. All you guys that have been getting busy, make sure you follow the 5 IG page. We will be shouting you guys during the course of the week. But Rio, there's a more pressing issue at the moment that we've seen during the course of the weekend. Can you talk to us about that quickly, please?
Yeah, I think like all other football fans, kind of just taken aback really about what happened. But I think the biggest thing that's come out this weekend, Manchester United fans obviously got into the stadium. There was a march, there was a protest, whatever you want to call it. And if I'm looking at it like as a fan of Man United, as a fan of football, an ex-player of the football club too, I have to say that I'm with the fans. I can't be any other side of the line. I'm where the fans are. Yes, we don't want violence. I'm not condoning violence or any type of law breaking at all. But these fans have been shunted aside. They've been put to one side and said, listen, you're not a thought. You're not a consideration. This is the response you get when things like that happen, when you try and take over a club and take it away from the fans and think the fans don't mean a thing, and think that there's not a care in the world about the fans. You treat them like that, you get a response like this. And what you are seeing and what you will see continuously is more and more football fans coming together on something like this. I don't think it's going to be tribal and so people are going to go point the finger at Man United. People see that this was almost, for me, a criminal act on football fans, taking away their voice, taking again their consideration from at all in any way, shape or form. And you think that an apology is going to be suffice, and an apology is going to do the job and going to just quash these type of things and get swept under the carpet. It's not. What these guys done, I think, was an absolute liberty. And there was always going to be a reaction. If they ever thought that this was going to be just, you know what, sorry guys, thanks, and we can get moving again. If they ever thought that, then they were more detached from realism than I even imagined at the beginning. Because yeah, we saw the scenes at the Lowry Hotel with the fans outside protesting. We saw it at Old Trafford. If you want change in any way, shape or form, in any life, in any business, in any industry, protests happen. So to be surprised by this, I think you're crazy. This is something I think was inevitable, given what happened, the enormity of what happened. And so us as part of the media, I have to stand firm and stand shoulder to shoulder with the fans. And listen, I was at Man United. I was captain of Man United for many times, had great times, moments, winning things, etc. And to think that I'd stand there and say, you know what, the fans are wrong here, I can't. Honestly, with my hand on my heart, I can't say if there's anybody wrong in this, it's the people that own the club. They didn't have their finger on the pulses. They didn't know the temperature of these fans and didn't know the passion that lies beneath people just paying their £40 to go to watch a game.
Steve, I've seen something very interesting with yourself. Obviously, I've known you for a number of years, and you used to be in the army, etc. And you've always been a Glazer out fan, even when you were back then, when you were with the army back then. What's your thoughts and what you've seen progress in the last few weeks? What can you tell me how you feel at the moment?
I'm kind of glad that the process has happened to this sort of degree. Yeah, I've been anti-Glazer for 16 years. I was on the matches before we got sold. I did the boycott I nearly lasted a season. I crumbled of not going to United for the full year after the takeover. I crumbled. It was a West Ham game, a couple of games before the end of the season. And I took all the stickers and flags over to Afghanistan where I was serving with the army, and you may or may not have seen those pictures kind of went viral in the early internet, really, with the Love United 8 Glazer stickers on the Apache. That was a skinnier version of me.
I remember that. You was in better shape then.
I was fucking fit, Rio. That's all right. And yeah, I've been anti-Glazer from year one. Over the years, obviously, we had the 2010 kickoff, and I saw Graham Souness yesterday, and this needs addressing, and I'm a little bit disappointed Roy Keane didn't actually pull him up on this, because Roy Keane, Gary Neville, and even Jamie Carragher's comments on this was spot on yesterday, but no one pulled up Graham Souness. And I don't know if Sky TV said, can we have someone who's on the other side of this? Because that's what it kind of seemed like. But he come out and said that United fans are protesting because we haven't won the league in 8 years is nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. We was protesting in 2010 on the back of winning 3 titles back-to-back, and in between hitting 2 Champions League finals. This is not to do with the success on and off the pitch. I think you could probably say it becomes a little more heated when you've also got the frustration of not winning anything for years and years, which is compounded by the fact that our owners seemingly don't care about us. But yeah, I've been anti-Glazer from year dot, and I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. When the European Super League thing happened, I saw a crack in the armour. And it really felt like we just changed this in 24 hours. Everyone went, no, this is a shit idea. We don't want this. And we reversed a massive decision. There was billions and billions of contracts on the line that I didn't think we would be able to turn around. And we turned them around as fans, not one club, as pretty much English fans. We turned that around because it seems like the Italian fans and Spanish fans, they were pretty much for it still. And we turned that around. And that gave me a bit of hope that actually something could happen here. And then the 50+1 talk sort of started to come out. And then I spoke to the mayor of Manchester and Liverpool, who said they was going to try and put it as legislation. Season ticket holders get the right to veto shit ideas like this. And I thought, this actually feels like there's some movement here. And it felt like the European Super League was always a part of the Glazers' business plan. Losing that, does that lose the appeal of keeping hold of the club? Like, I don't think yesterday's protest and last week's protest and the collapse of the European Super League in isolation does anything. But I think there has to be more now. I want to know when the next protest is. I want to know when the next time that we can get together and act like this. Is it going to be the Wolves game? Is it later in the season when we're actually allowed in the stadium? I can't imagine that's quiet. Like the banner that we saw at Carrington, we decide when you play. It's a little bit threatening, but I can't really argue with the sentiment of it.
I've got to be honest.
Club without us.
I've got to be honest, Steve. I never thought I would see this or say this, yeah, but I think the Glazers will sell now. It might not be an immediate, but I think they will sell because the uproar. Everyone wants to do well in business. No one's begrudging anybody making a pound note and making money. I get that, but where they are now and the amount of anger and emotion within these fans is not going away. Before you could quash it. Before we were playing games, we were winning. Fans are still in the stadium, etc. This idea of the Super League has just reignited every single bad emotion that was in any of these fans' minds. Not only Man United now, but football in general. This isn't just Man United fans now against all of these families and countries and states that own these 6 clubs. It's football in this country. It's not tribal. It's not an individual club. It's actually football now. So it makes it very, very different. I genuinely believe now that the Glazers will sell and just say, you know what, we've had a good run at this. We're going to make a huge profit. Let's just go. We don't need this no more. We're on all of the news channels now. Before they weren't on CNN and all this stuff in their own country. Now this news is traveling, and it's traveling fast. It's immediate. It's the fans can't get at the Glazers physically, and I'm not meaning violently. I'm meaning to get in their face and to be able to verbalise what they want in front of them. But now they've been able to do it through media channels properly because this news is now traveling so fast. So I think it's a big issue for them, and I believe they genuinely. I think they will sell. I think for them, it's better for them to sell now.
2 points, yeah. Before we go back to this, I want to ask you, Rio, a question, and then Steve, I got one for you, Rio. If the Glazers invest in the club this summer, because don't forget, Man United have improved and they've closed down on Man City. We were talking about this last season. They've closed down on Liverpool. If they invest properly and Oli goes on, let's just say, to win the league, will they still want him out? Secondly, Steve, if you can answer, Rio said that fans haven't been able to go out there and be in the Glazers' faces. Are there plans of fans going there to see him directly or where he is? Because I know you might have some insight on that. Maybe, Rio, if we can go with you first, please.
Listen, investment in the actual team has never been an issue, I don't think. The club has invested in players. Every manager's just come in, not one of the managers has come in since Sir Alex Ferguson left and has ever said, I've not had the funds. I've been let down by the owners because they haven't backed me financially. They've all had funds to spend. We're one of the biggest players wage-wise across our squad as well in the league. So they're putting the money into the team. It's not that. It's what's beyond that. What are the actual plans now? We've seen they've shown their hand. They've shown their hand, along with the 5 other teams in the Premier League, what their actual main goal is. And it is to detach themselves from the Premier League and to go on and ring-fence money and ring-fence and stop the competitive nature of our league, which is football. They want to stop relegation and promotion. They want to be guaranteed a certain income and to be able to extort the money out of the club. I don't agree with it. It goes against all the principles of why you put boots on as a kid playing football. You play to win and lose. You play that there's going to be, if you don't play well for a season, you go down. If you win and you do well in the season, you win trophies and you get promoted, or you can't have the element of competition taken out, and that's what they're trying to do. I just feel that the fans, I don't think that we could go and do the treble next season and the fans will still be the same. I think that's where we're at right now, and I feel they'll have great reason to be like that. You can't come with a mad idea like they had and expect everybody to be fine. That's why I'm with the fans. Because they deserve to have a voice. It's been shown that they were looked at as a group of people that had no voice. Well, now people are seeing that they have got a voice. They can speak, they can make noise, and they can make change. Because as Steve said earlier, billions and billions and billions of pounds were being earmarked and invested into an idea that they'd all got together with, had been shut down within 48 hours of the fans knowing and being able to speak. So they have got a voice, and what's happened as well is I think this has opened up. This has pricked people up again. This is what got people up. Actually, we can make a change, and I think the most important thing is that government legislation. If government legislation can be brought in, and there can be some sort of parameters put in with people that run football clubs, then we're on to a better thing. For football clubs to be able to come in and just make decisions, the owners just make decisions, and then away from the fans without looking at the history, the character of the club, and all of the things that go towards what makes these clubs so great in our country. If they can just come in and just go, bang, we're going to shift it here, shift it there, without any government, yes, no, maybe so, then it can't work like that.
I think we just lost Joel for a second. On his question, do I know of any plans to go over to Palm Beach? I've not looked into anything like that. I haven't looked into the fact that housing records over there are public. I haven't looked into the city and the locality that he lives. And I haven't looked into Google Street Maps where he can be seen walking outside his house. I haven't done any of that. So I couldn't possibly comment on whether anyone's got any plans to go over and ask him face to face whether he would like to fuck off or not. On your point about the players, the investment, if you look at what Manchester United did the 5 years prior to the Glazers coming, we spent some mad cash. We brought, obviously, Rooney, Ronaldo, yourself, Varane, Ruud van Nistelrooy. We bought players just about to hit world-class level year after year after year after year. Then Fergie made a profit for the next 8 years, from 2005 to 2013, he made a profit. And I wouldn't ever ask you to speak out against Sir Alex, but I don't think Sir Alex was telling us the entire truth. When he come out and said there was no value in the market, well, I'm sorry, the likes of Benzema and Ribery and David Silva and people like that were moving in that time. Company went for 6 million. There was value in the market at the time. I don't think he was given the funds. When Fergie moved on, I think they knew they needed to invest into the team. And I think we spent it erratically. And I think there was no plan to it. We've wasted money on the likes of Sanchez. We've wasted money on Falcao. We wasted money on Di Maria. We've brought Lukaku in and then he's gone back out again. Money has been spent, but it hasn't been spent well. And I look at what Manchester City done. And when you add what together what got taken out of Manchester United and what's been put into Manchester City, it's like a 3 billion difference. We'd be away, gone. It looked like France if we'd have carried on spending pre-Glazer with all of the increases that we've seen in TV money.
I don't think the thingy though, Steve, I don't think it's the point of like, we all know that the quality and the standard of the player that's come in, recruitment has been poor since Fergie left. But there has been finance to get players in, whether it's been good players or wrong players. There has been money. Yeah, I agree with you on the last 8 years when Fergie was there. But after that, the money's been spent.
Yeah, and I wonder if that maybe where a better structure, perhaps the structure now with Darren Fletcher that's in place, is there to actually spend the money wiser and a more consistent plan, because we lurched from what Moyes wanted to what Louis wanted to what Jose wanted and now to what Ollie wants. And I'm not sure. There's a lot of talk that Jose didn't quite get what he wanted, especially in the last summer. And I know that Ollie would have wanted a little bit more. This talks of like Haaland, which he might not have got Haaland for other reasons rather than the fact that the board didn't want to spend it. But it looks like we've missed out on targets continually, actually, under Ollie. But Ollie's never going to come out and say anything against the board. It's his employers, isn't it? The other point the question I wanted to ask you is, and I think you might have already sort of alluded to this, is have you heard of any of the players from yesterday that were stuck in the Lowry and got their thoughts on it?
No, I've spoken to people that were in the Lowry, but not the players, and I think it's a difficult one. Listen, you know, Steve, I was there when the Glazers came. And as a player, you're in a really, really awkward position. We don't want to be part of the business end of the club. We're there just to play football. We don't want to get caught up in the politics. All the players want to do is go training, get ready for a match, go out in front of the thousands and millions of fans around the world and play and win. That's all you're concerned with. All this extra stuff is just like, listen, man, it's stressful enough just playing. I don't want all this stuff that's going on. That's how I have to be honest, that's how you fought. Please let the powers that be just deal with this and get it sorted out. Fingers crossed, when the Glazers came in, we knew that all of the green and yellow scarves and the stuff was coming out. We saw it all. And we were being requested to come out and speak, but you're sitting there going, listen, I don't want to be a political pawn in this at all. I don't want to be, yes, there's a right side and a wrong side as well, but you just think, you know what, let me just play football. I want to be the best I can be for this football club. And the problem you got as a player, if you do speak out, what then happens? That's the problem. Do you get sacked? Do you get fined? Do you get told to leave the club? This is the club that you've been wanting to play for years. You finally got here and you're going to jeopardize that? These are all the questions that will be going through the players' minds. They'll be told in that changing room, in the meeting rooms, you guys, you play football, you be quiet. This is going to get sorted out. Just be quiet now. And the fans are going to have their say. You guys just go and play football. That's what you're paid to do. And that's the way it will be with these guys. And I think that it's really awkward. I can sit there, I can feel someone like Marcus, someone like Harry Maguire, the captain, Paul Pogba. These guys are going to want to speak. I know in their heart of hearts, but at the same time, it's a tug of war. And so it's very difficult. And this situation is slightly different because it's about more of football than just the one club. And it was going to destabilize the whole pyramid of football in our country. So it's a little bit of a different situation. So you've seen some players putting out little bits here and there. But yesterday, I think it would have been just, the guys would have been sitting in the stadium, in the hotel going, listen, man, make your protest, guys. We're happy for you to do your protest, but please just let us play. That's how the players would have been thinking.
Would you tell any of the players to come out and speak now, or would you urge any of them to come out and speak? Because if, let's say it was Marcus, let's say it was someone like Bruno even, he seems to be quite vocal on this sort of stuff. They're not going to sack him. they're not going to sell him because that would go even worse. In the fans' eyes, they can only win by coming out and backing the fans on this. And even if
one of the things you have to be,
pay it for them.
One of the things you have to be is you have to be one of the big players because they're the ones who are safe in terms of you can't drop me. And if you do drop me, it looks like you're blackballing me. So you have to be one of the main guys to be able to do it. And you have to have the personality and the character to do it. And you have to have the balls to do it. And it's a very different landscape now with social media and players being urged to have the ability to come out and the confidence to come out and speak on subjects. So it's very different. So I think it will be much more respected and much more well received from the general media. Whereas I think in our time, if a player had come out and stood against, there'd have been sections of the media that would have been right on that player. And it would have been huge pressure added to that and whatnot. But I think these guys are in a great position to be able to speak. And I think they can do it with a confidence now that's very different. Whether they will, I wouldn't be negative about a player that doesn't speak, because I still think as a player, I've got my football head on that up when I've played, and it is a difficult situation to be in. But this is bigger than just a football club. That's what I have to reiterate. This isn't about Manchester United alone. This is about 6 of our biggest clubs, or 4 of our biggest clubs and 2 others, who are tried to get out and go and ring fence finance and ring fence their own little world of football in their own eyes and play their own ball game. And that would have affected the pyramid, like I keep going back to, that all of the young kids who played on Sunday pitches, after school pitches, all of the little halls that you go and play football in, all of the areas that all of anything to do with football, the communities that surround football would have been in a problem, would have been struggling. And so the players, it's more of a social responsibility angle that I'd be going from if you're a player than about my football club.
Can you please describe, this is really difficult for the both of you, but I'm going to ask you anyway, if you can describe your feelings in 3 words when looking at this current situation. I know there's more than 3 words, but just give me...
Ashamed, let down, which is 2 words, and emotional.
Ashamed, let down, and emotional. What about yourself, Steve?
Ashamed of who? The club?
The owners, not the club.
I'd say proud of the fans fighting for what they believe in. Optimistic that this feels like a step along a process. It's certainly not the end game at all, but it feels like we are moving towards something here. It really feels like change can be enacted. And eager for more. We need more.
I like that.
That's the thing. Is this a one-off, or is this something that's going to continue? Because I think that's the big question with football fans in general. Like, this can't just be a Man United or Arsenal or Chelsea thing. That it's got to be a football voice as one. All football fans have to come together with this and shout from the same hymn sheet, because it can't be a sporadic affair. We've seen that with so many different campaigns and slogans over the years, each club doing their own thing. It never does anything. It never works. We're talking about racism, all that type of stuff, homophobia, etc. When you've got 1 or 2 people singing over there and the others are over there and it's all disjointed, it doesn't work. Football fans, if they want to make change, you have to come together and you have to sing from the same hymn sheet. You all want change. You all want to keep our game the way it is, what we love, the Premier League, promotion, relegation, competition. You've got to fight for it. You've got to let your voice be heard.
Man, that's some real emotional stuff for real. I like the contradiction of your, well, I say the contradictions, the difference between your words, Rio, and Steve's words, because I think when you put them collectively together, you know, it makes for a good future, if I'm to be really honest with you. So you need the passion that you have, Rio, and how you feel about it, and you need how Steve feels as well. Going back to the actual game itself, I know it's probably the least important thing, but when is it going to get rescheduled? Like, do you guys know anything that we don't?
I don't think anyone cares at the moment. It's not on anyone's.
There was a rumor 3 o'clock today. Oh, we're recording this Monday, aren't we? But there was a rumor 3 o'clock Monday was the time, but I haven't seen anyone come out and confirm that. And maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just try and play it without telling anyone.
Really? Do you reckon they would do that?
Yeah, because you potentially, if you announce, it's 3 o'clock today, there'll be people come back to the ground if it's today. So they might just go, anyway, the game's on.
Yeah, because they got a game on Thursday and a big game on Thursday, you know, so this will affect. I mean, obviously, we know that United are through. Still a game.
Yeah. I think doing it against Liverpool, it was a weird Liverpool game, wasn't it, really? Because I woke up yesterday morning thinking, not how I normally feel when United play Liverpool. Like, in all of my life, this has never meant as little as it meant yesterday. And the focus was more about the protest than it was about what was happening on the pitch. And I think doing it and stopping a game, I think stopping the game is huge because that forced all of those companies. And I've seen some of the reporting from NBC in America, and that they need to have a word with themselves because that was shocking.
Really?
Some of the stuff they was coming out. Yeah, they just got the complete wrong end of the stick. John Champion was talking to them. They had him on the phone, and he started dropping some truth, and they cut him off and just went to an advert. Like, yeah, their coverage of it has been awful.
That's the problem you have, isn't it? I don't understand that, like media, how it's controlled sometimes. And it isn't until you become part of media, maybe, or you just get a bit older and wiser to it, but you see the way that it's manipulated. And in America, these American owners are superstars over there. They've got NFL teams, etc. Done amazing things with their NFL teams and stuff. They just won the Super Bowl, by the way. The Glazers.
Don't you find it mad that they're the ones who picked the trophy up?
Yeah,
for the Super Bowl.
Crazy, but they didn't pick the trophy up at the Champions League or the Premier League. It's weird, isn't it?
Imagine though, flip it back to 2008. You walk up the steps at Moscow, and I love that Sir Bobby was there. By the way, that's one of my favorite pictures of all of that.
Do you know when Sir Bobby? Sorry, Steve, to cut you. You know when Sir Bobby was there? Yeah, that moment was one of the moments that will never leave my body ever. When he came and spoke to me at the bottom of them stairs. I get mad emotional when I even speak about it sometimes because there's so much different things that were going on around that moment. But the fact that he took the time out to come and speak to me and just like grabbed me and said, listen, and I just almost started crying at that point, by the way, about something else. I was all over the place. But like the way he grabbed me and spoke to me was like, this guy is just Mr. Man United, man. Like crazy. And the words that he spoke was just like... It just threw me. And I just thought, wow. It brought the enormity of what it was to be a Man United player and what it meant to Manchester United as the fans, the club, the history. He just encapsulated it all within like 15 seconds. It was crazy.
Can you share what he said, please?
Yeah, he just... The weird thing was, right, is that I was there and I was standing at the bottom of the stairs and I started getting emotional because I saw my mum. My mum was climbing over loads of seats to get my attention because there was no fans in that bit there. It was just cornered off, and my mum was. I could hear my mum screaming. She was climbing seats to get over, and just Wah! And I turned, and it was just like it just brings like all your family are there, and obviously what they've all gone through to get you to this point, and it just. I remember almost just started blubbering a little bit, and I remember Vida said to me, "Rio, not here, man, not here." And then so Bobby came just as we was going up, and he came and just kind of grabbed me and started speaking to me in my shame and saying in my ear, like he said, Rio, like not many captains have lifted this trophy. He says, you're going to be one of them. He says, you know what that means for this football club, what we had to go through, Munich. He says, there's lives been lost on the way here. He said, this is history and you're part of it now. Your team are part of it. And then he said, go and lift that and go and enjoy it. There was a few more, I've probably missed a little bit out here and there, but that was the basis of what he said. And there was moments like Munich, etc., that's gone on. Until you go to Man United and you walk through them corridors, you don't understand what it is. It's weird. It's just so much has gone on that you immerse yourself in. And to have someone like that who's been through all of that and is still coming to away games at the time, he was old age, etc., getting old, still a part of it, and was desperate to be a part of it. For him to take out that little bit of time was just, it meant so much.
Well, he lifted it. He lifted it in '68.
That's what he said. He said, I know what it feels like. Don't worry, I know what this feels like, and I know this will never leave you. This will be with you for the rest of your life. So yeah, it was a mad moment. But what I mean, and going back to the point, I couldn't imagine the Glazers being there and saying anything like that to me and being a part of that.
Or even moving you out of the way Well,
to
you
lift
watch
it.
them lift it. Can you imagine?
That wouldn't have been allowed. Trust me. They would never have been allowed to do that. They lifted the trophy that these players have played, have sweated every single like milliliter of sweat that they've had in their body to get to this Super Bowl, won it, to be told that, the owners are going to lift it. No way.
I think that's a difference in culture, innit? Like when I really look at the culture and what these guys are used to and stuff like that, it just shocks me. This is a random spin, but by the way, Tom Brady did message Rio Ferdinand when he won the Super Bowl as well, which I think is worth messaging. Greats recognize greats.
We should put that tweet up, actually.
Yeah, we should just throw it in there, you know. But yeah, you know what saying that is, for me, it makes me understand that there's a difference in culture, man. And unfortunately, sometimes, you know, they might have to just let it go. I mean, it'll be interesting for me to see what happens if they do end up selling it, Rio. I don't know.
Joel,
yeah,
I would love to know how the Tampa Bay Buccaneer players and fans feel about the Glazers, to get the contrast of how they feel.
Drop a message and find out.
Pardon?
Drop your boy Tom a message and find out.
Yeah, I might just do that just to find out how they feel about them, because it's the way the fans feel about them to the way that our fans feel about them must be very, very different, because they're used to that model. They're used to the way things are working over there, and they're trying to make our model similar to theirs, and that's where the big problem and the big divide is.
Yeah. Culture.
Sorry, Joe.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, boy, that was a lot, to be honest. So, Steve, you reckon they're going to be playing the game behind closed doors? Possibly, maybe.
It's behind closed doors anyway, isn't it? But no, I think you mean more. I think they're going to probably just be like, anyway, the game's happening, and either not broadcast it, because that obviously lets the cat out the bag, or broadcast it like very hush hush when they're preparing it. Or maybe they just have to rearrange it till after the Europa League now. I have no idea. I have no idea what they're going to do. I mean, like, City pulled out of the game against Everton, didn't they? And they just had to find a way to squeeze that in because of COVID. So this is a weird season. It's been a weird season all the way through. And I think a lot of the frustration that you saw yesterday at the protest was probably on the fact that I haven't been inside there since McTominay stuck that in the net against City last year. I haven't been inside. I've been standing outside it every single week since then, but I haven't been inside it. It's weird. I haven't gone that long. Even when I was in Afghanistan, I wasn't that long out of the stadium.
You see, they said last two games before the end of the season, fans are allowed back in, right?
Yes. I think it's like Fulham away and Wolves at home or something like that.
Are you going to be one of the ones selected to be able to go? Like, what's your?
I reckon it'll randomly be as many executives as possible, and really, really randomly selected, just pure luck. No, I'll be amazed. I mean, obviously I've applied. I think the deadline's tomorrow actually to apply for that. Obviously, I'll apply.
You mean today?
All right, yeah, today when this comes out. I think it was this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I will apply. I ain't holding out any hope whatsoever that I get it. So if I do, and do you know what? I almost don't think I would want to go, because it's just weird standing there in a mask, 2 meters away from that guy, 2 meters away from that guy, 2 meters away from that guy. What are we doing? The best part of going to the match is diving all over my mates and my old man when we score. Like, standing there and what we're going to do, stand up and golf clap. What a lot of bollocks. It's not the same.
Do you know what? Just a quick one, yeah? Just a quick one. Just going back to the statement that the owners made when this all happened, of just the apologetic one, and that we're going to try to get people back on side, etc. How do they actually envisage that they're going to get people back on side? How do they actually feel that they're going to bring the fans closer to the club again? Like, the way I used to explain Manchester United, what's Man United to you? I used to say, listen, it's obviously a great club, etc. But the best way to explain it, why I love it so much, it's like almost like a bigger version of when I was at West Ham. It's a family club. It's a people's club. There's people been working there for 30 years, for their whole life, for 40, 50 years. There's generations that have come up underneath that have just supported this club because their old man or their nan or their auntie supported the club. Just part of their family life. They work all week to get there. They feel a part of the club when they go there. They're seeing the same people. There's that touch that's there. That's gone. That ain't there. You see the odd person there that you remember when I was there, but it ain't that that same feeling. It's a real like clinical feeling that you get when you go in a football club now. And the only way you can bring that back, or have any chance of trying to bring that back, is by bringing some of the old people that were there before, that knew how the place ran and how it was, and immersing them people back in. When you're making decisions, bring in somebody else. And listen, I've got to be honest, they've started doing that with the likes of Darren Fletcher, Michael Carrick, etc., coming back in. But even higher than that, people who are making the business decisions, they have to lean on people that are also football people as well, who understand the culture, who understand the characteristics of the football club going forward. Because if they don't, and they keep bringing business people to run this football club, we'll be in this situation again.
Man, I don't see this being a short-term thing, guys, because letting go of such a big club, they see it as a company, right? For me, I'm yet to see what's going to happen, and the same with the Cronkies and what's going on over there. I think
this is the same thing, Joel. This is why when people used to say to me, "Oh, do you think about loyalty in the game?" and people moan at players about loyalty. There ain't loyalty in this game no more. It's gone. All this talk about he's got to be loyal and that, and be a one club man, etc. Yeah, that's great. If you can do it, you're lucky. Like Gary Neville or Steven Gerrard or Paul Scholes, etc. They're lucky to be one club people. You ain't going to really see that much anymore, because loyalty doesn't exist in this game no more. And it's been proved by these 6 clubs. These 6 clubs can never go to a player or a fan and mention the word loyalty ever again. Ever. It can't be. So don't expect loyalty. When you look at, for instance, someone like Paul Pogba's been getting hammered because he's been flirted, maybe his agents flirted with other clubs, etc. Can you shout at him? Should you really be shouting at him? Because he's not getting, he might not be getting a loyalty back. The club ain't getting a loyalty back. The fans ain't getting a loyalty back from the other side. So why are you expecting him to be loyal? And I know it's like tick for tat, etc. But please, I just don't want to hear people keep talking about loyalty. Respect the club, yes, but loyalty, it ain't in the game no more. I don't see it.
I got a quick question, Steve. Ed Woodward, right? He's still in charge till the end of the year, right? You're not going to know, but what direction do you reckon they're going to go with? Because he's their man, Do you see the person coming in after Ed being someone that is going to be like a proper exec, like Peter Kenyon, like someone who, does his own thing? Or what do you see coming in
Another
next?
Ed would be good. Edwin van der Sar would be good.
Yeah,
That
another
would be
Ed,
one in the
but
right direction.
a different move. Edwin van der Sar had been mega. Adam told me earlier, he did an interview. He said he could only ever see himself doing this job at 2 clubs, and one was Ajax, and one was United. Oh,
Wow.
I kind of like the sound of that.
I speak to Ed a lot. Good guy.
I think he'd be great. Someone that's obviously won something, is respected across the world, understands the football side of stuff implicitly, but he also went to university, got educated, and has got experience running Ajax. He'd be ideal. But outside of him, how do people get these jobs in football? Do you remember Gary Cook? How did he get a job in Manchester City? And following that, he went and worked for the UFC and Nike, I think, following that. Or he came from Nike, went to City, and then ended up at the UFC. These executives bounce around doing bad jobs after bad jobs and still keep getting employed. I don't understand it. I don't understand how David Gill got a job at Manchester United. Seemingly, he was quite good at his job, but where did he come from? So I don't know if we're privy to any sort of shortlist. Maybe it needs to be exec. That's an experienced exec. You can't run football clubs like a Tesco. You can't.
But you know what it is? I think that someone like David Gill, and I didn't really work a lot with Ed Woodward, so I can't really comment on relationships, etc. But the difference with David Gill, yes, I think his background was being an accountant, but it's having that human touch, but also being humble enough to take on advice and build relationships with the football people within the club. If you can align both of them things, so you've got the business acumen and the business background, but you've also got that football element on the other side as well that you're tapping into on a regular basis to help you make decisions, because you're making decisions, yes, from a business perspective, with a football head on as well. If you can do that within a football club, I think you're onto a winner. The moment you make it just a purely business decision, we see what happens with this. This was a purely business decision without any football people at that table. This is where we're at now.
Not even a text to someone. Now, let me just message him, see what he thinks about this.
Just DM me, man. And I say to me, listen, bro, this is what we're thinking. We're thinking of doing this. DM me.
Yeah.
You just say it, man. But
That's,
listen,
that's a proper shit idea, lads. Sack it.
Yeah.
Just DM me, guys. We're gonna have to move on to some of the games that have been played on the weekend. I like the fact that we didn't force it. We let it simmer a little bit. We've had a proper talk, and this weren't staged or rehearsed. I think it's really good to have had this chat, and we're proper giving insight to the people watching on 5. So this is another reason why you guys should be subscribing and watching, because we've got these topics, man. There's nothing off the books, as you can see. So give us the credit, Moving on to the games that were played on the weekend. Now, we're not going to spend too much time, but Crystal Palace losing to Man City 2-0. Now, I found it very interesting that Aguero played and he scored. Can someone tell me why he hasn't been playing? Because
his contract, do you think?
Contract, yeah, but Man City are winning. So why is he going to play?
No, but this is the club legend. They didn't even involve him in the League Cup final. Pure spectator, playing with false nines. There's situations when I see Man City play and I look at the area in and around the box, and as well as they're playing, there's been time, and in the Champions League as well, as you probably saw during the course of the week, there's positions where the ball will get played in and there's no one operating that area. Phil Foden's doing good to come in, but he's not the number 9. He's not there. They need a number 9.
The mad thing is, when I interviewed Pep earlier in the season, right? And one of the key takeouts from that interview was that he wanted to gain control of the football matches now. He was upset with the way his team looked before. He felt like there was like a basketball team, up and down, high tempo. And he said, no, I don't like that. I don't like the look of my team. I want control. That's why the fullbacks have been inverted into midfield at times, Cancelo, etc., to gain control, more stability, a false 9 coming in. So they've got outnumbering teams in the middle of the park by 2 or 3 sometimes, with the amount of bodies they've got in there. So he was more interested, I think, in controlling games and knowing he'll create chances, enough chances that he'd be able to miss a few maybe, but they'd end up getting enough chances to score the goals. So I think he's gone for more control over potency maybe. And my bigger concern is probably Sterling. Sterling has been their best player the last couple of years, I have to say, in terms of output. He's been the best, most important player, if not the most important players of the last couple of years in this team. He's out of the team. He's not playing. But why? Like, I don't understand. Is it because it's a slower pace of the team that he's not playing? And maybe it does. They're asking, does it suit him or not? But Raheem Sterling, if you're picking an England team 3 months ago, Sterling's the first name on the sheet. Yeah. Before Kane, before everyone, Sterling's the first name on the sheet.
I don't know about before Kane. He's with Kane or after Kane, but yes, I agree.
I would have said that because he's that something different anyway. But now, you can see people are picking their England teams, etc., and they're humming and ahhing about Sterling because he's not playing for City. Yeah. I'd just like to know why. Like, what was the reason for taking him out of the team?
Back when we started picking him.
What?
Wasn't it mine back when we started picking him?
What, Sterling?
Yeah.
Why?
He said that he's not clinical enough in front of goal. That's why he didn't put him in.
What, 31 goals last season and 25 the season before that and 22 the season before that?
That doesn't tell. That's not a measure of how clinical it is. That's a measure of how many chances City create.
But you've got to still bag the goals.
You do, but I don't find him clinical. I think he misses opportunities he should score. And I would have gone with Sancho and Rashford. And I said Calvert-Lewin, but Kane down the middle. Grealish behind. That's a team.
We've got so many play. We've got so many talented players. I get it. I understand. We have got talent. I'm just saying, like, to say that Sterling, he misses it. The guy scored 31 goals last season, man. You can't
He's been solid for the last 4 or 5 years if you really look at it. But
I don't get it. He improves every year. He improves every year. He's improved. What more do you want to ask from a footballer?
I think if you're looking at it for current form, right? On current form, he knows himself it's been a weird year. I saw the interview he did with you on BT. He goes, this season it's been a weird year, man. For me, I thought he said this season it's not been as, I haven't been as clinical because they were still top of the league when he said that. So to me, he knows he hasn't been at his best. But that's okay. That's okay. Steve, it's funny how earlier on when you picked that team, we all laughed at you, appointed, whatever, but a few weeks on, you could be right. This guy. Also, okay, sticking on the City factor as well. where will he go, Aguero? And do you reckon he's still got it?
I think he stays in the Premier League.
Really?
Wow.
Someone I know did some work at his house a couple of weeks ago. He said he's packed up, he's ready to go. So I don't think it's local if he is. He looks
If
like
I'm Chelsea, I'll take him now. If I'm Chelsea.
Oh God, that's a shout.
If I'm Chelsea, I'll go and get him. Quick. Listen, have you seen Chelsea's stats, by the way? Chelsea are my team to win the league next year.
Listen.
Especially if they get a striker. Because
Mate.
do you know what? Actually, I can't imagine Werner has another season where he misses as many big chances as he has this year.
Werner will bang next year.
He might just be fine next year. He might just settle and go off like a rocket. Because he's a good player. He is a good player.
Mate, it's his first year in the country. People are forgetting he's settling down in a pandemic, by the way. This ain't the most easiest settling period, by the way. He's just come in. He's still got over 10 goals. He's still got over 10 assists, by the way. Most goal involvements at the club.
I think he could just be because he's almost become a bit of a meme anti this year. I think people end up with egg on their face about him next year.
Since Tuchel's come, they're top of almost every category. Goals conceded, chances created, like they
it's
are.
Just goals scored, isn't it? That they're lagging in. They're like 6 or something.
Yeah, and conversion, chances converted. But they are seriously this team. The way what he's done going in there, you can do nothing but give him applause, man. It's unbelievable. If I'm them, I go and get Aguero. If I can't get like a Haaland or someone like that,
that's a shout.
True. Good shout. Okay, moving on. We're talking about Chelsea now. Actually, they look like they're ready for Madrid on Wednesday. I mean, you guys saw the game. What did you think when you were watching?
I done the game for BT. I actually didn't think. I was actually, after watching Real Madrid play and navigate their way through against Liverpool, I thought the experience was going to be telling for Liverpool, for Real Madrid. But Chelsea, the way they play at high pace, Real Madrid can't live with it. If they play at high pace the whole game again and they go for it again, I think they overrun this Real Madrid team.
And obviously they've got him in a second leg, so I'm sure you're confident that they'll wrap it up, right?
Yeah, I think they will. I think there'll be a Chelsea. I think it'll be a Chelsea City final now. I actually went the other way. I thought it would be a Real Madrid versus PSG final, but not no more.
Yeah, I don't think you're looking past City. City played that WM formation again last week, and that was Matt Busby's formation, and Pep's showing it working in modern football, which is mind-blowing. I don't think they played it the same way. I think Matt Busby was a little bit more direct than what City are with it. I don't think you could have played that level of possession game on pitches in the 50s. But I think the way he's messing about with formations, I think it's fascinating to see. And it gives me a bit of an insight into what maybe the Babes would have looked like playing. Obviously, different personnel and different style of individual players, but I've always wondered about how that formation looks on paper and how it would perform on the pitch. And Pep's doing it. And I think they'll have far too much for PSG. And yeah, City-Chelsea final, and obviously hopes Chelsea picks it up at the end.
But you know what? Pep ain't playing around with his formation as much as he did in the latter stages of the Champions League the last 2 years, though. The last 2 years, that's probably been his Achilles heel, that he's changed it around because he wasn't confident in what he had. I think now he's got a back line that he's secure with, and the rest just does itself.
Yeah. Well, I just want to quickly wrap up, go through the final results. I mean, you got Newcastle losing to Arsenal 2-0. Oba banging in goals. We're going to need him on Thursday. Southampton holding Leicester to a 1-1 draw. I mean, for me, Ward-Prowse, mate, I can see him going somewhere else potentially. Everton losing to Aston Villa. As good of a manager as Ancelotti is, real quickly, I just want to ask, you reckon they're sitting eighth? If he finishes eighth, do you reckon that's a failure?
No, not a failure. I think that he still knows that he needs to invest. I think he's building a very decent. He's got a good team. His first 11 are good. I think it's just around that he needs to improve and maybe add 1 or 2 into that first 11 as well. I think his investment is the key for them. I think if he can get investment in that team, I think they're onto a good thing with him.
But he's had some investment, would you say? I mean, it's not like they've given him nothing.
Yeah, but he needs a couple of windows, man. He needs a bit more time to be able to build that team. Just one thing before we go: the Southampton sending off. Do we agree with it or not? Have you seen it?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Another pass and tackle.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. The game's gone.
Are they going to keep VAR next year? Yes or no?
They will. They've invested too much money in it. But they should really, look at it and go, you know what, it hasn't worked. Are the fans happy with it? Has it enhanced our game? No. Right, let's move on to the next thing. Let's go back to what it was. But they won't.
Getting the Glazers out. Then we're going rioting at Stockley Park. And then I'll figure out what we're doing after that. All right?
I think that's a good way to finish, Steve.
Guys, make sure you click the links in the description to follow the relevant social media platforms. We've been talking about the 5 IG and obviously the YouTube channel. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell a mate, man. And yeah, we'll see them soon, isn't it?
Yeah, come on, man. And we'll be in the comments. I'm all up in the comments. Once this blackout's over, I'm getting in, man, because some of these people were just going off on there. I can't have it.
Yeah, man. All right.
David Beckham not on the list, Joel. We're having words about that, by the way.
Yeah, I agree.
Was it? I thought it was.
I agree.
Yeah, it was you.
All right,
All right, guys. Take it easy.
In a bit.
Peace. Bye.